is about relationships. Our relationship began maybe 100 years before we met. Around the turn of the century, there was a wave of immigrants who arrived at Ellis Island in New York Harbor. Many were Jews fleeing the pogroms of Russia and Poland. Many found their way to a place called Brooklyn. Our parents and grandparents were among them. They became part of this sizable community of like-minded genetic material. It was a gene pool, largely undiluted by intermarriage or divorce. Because, like others who came from tyranny and oppression, they very soon developed a deep love of their new country, but with no nostalgia for their countries of origin. They came here craving education, social justice, religious freedom, and the good life that America promised for themselves and most especially their children.
They shared an intense desire to take full advantage of American education. This in time resulted in a cauldron of bubbling creativity which exploded into music, art, writing, theater, from Aaron Copland to the Gershwins, Danny Kaye to Woody Allen, Margaret Sanger to Beverly Sills, Mel Brooks to Larry David, Henry Miller to Arthur Miller, Barbara Boxer to Barbara Streisand. The list goes on and on. Their families all came around the 1890s. And by the 1930s, despite the Depression, anything was possible. The American dream was alive and well.
We are both children of that generation of immigrants. We were both born in Brooklyn, both born in the same hospital as you were, Barbara.
Yes, we were all.
Brooklyn, a place of feeling, a state of mind, a system of shared values. We were both products of the same traditional Jewish upbringing, the same delis, the same bakeries, the same boardwalk, the Dodgers, piano lessons at 6 years of age, mandatory. Both enrolled in special schools, public schools.
Each of our mothers religiously took us on the subway every Saturday morning to Carnegie Hall in Manhattan, where there were children's concerts with the New York Philharmonic under the leadership of Walter Damrosch. They offered free concerts to all New York children. We might have been even seated in the same row on one of those Saturday mornings. And when we were old enough to go to Manhattan on our own, without enough money to buy a ticket, we each would sneak into the second acts of musicals, maybe in the third balcony of Oklahoma at the same matinee.
There's a poetic justice here, because very often now we leave after the first acts of musicals. When we finally met 3,000 miles later in Los Angeles, we knew each other. We got each other. Our frames of reference were all the same. We shared values. We shared dreams. We shared memories.
I was working with a composer writing songs in the morning. She was working with the same composer writing songs in the afternoon. One day he brought us together, and the three of us started collaborating. Two of us got married.
Two of us had a child. Our daughter, Julie, who's now, I'm so proud to say, an extraordinary young woman with a daughter of her own. The gene pool goes on. When she was in kindergarten, the teacher gathered the children around her and said, I'm going to ask each of you to share with us a little bit about your family, your siblings, what your parents do, and so forth. So they went to a little boy in the first row, and he said, well, I have a little sister who's a pain in the ass. She's 3 years old. Her name is Frances. And my father goes to an office every morning, and it's got something to do with selling houses. And my mother cooks and shops. And they went to the next child, and she offered a similar story. I got to Julie, our daughter, and she said, my mother and father get up in the morning and they go across the hall to a room in our house that they call their office. They close the door. Sometimes there's music playing. Sometimes it's just quiet, really quiet. And they sit and they think, and somebody pays them. Well, first of all, somebody didn't always pay us. But there was a time when the silences, we realized these periods of quiet were perhaps the most important part of our work together. We're like two deep sea divers who swim for a while underwater and surface at the same time, moments later, arriving at the same point, often with the very same words.
Well, it's like one pitches and one's a catcher. One suggests, one edits. These roles change within seconds. A collaboration is truly like a marriage, a good one anyway. There's trust, respect. That's essential, and flexibility. You need to get each other. And the most frequently asked question we get is, you live together, you work together, you're together 24 hours a day. How do you do it? Well, I usually have the same answer for these people. We do what we love, and we deeply love each other. And one washes and one dries. That's the secret. We don't really work. People often say you have to really work at it and so forth, and we don't do that.
Work at our work.
We find it's really it's easy. It's effortless, truly.
You don't mean the work.
No. I mean the relationship.
The process that Alan describes is like two people free associating, swimming in the same deep waters of the unconscious together.
Yes.
Neither of us really remembers exactly who wrote what in the song, because it's not important. This next song, Alan's going to sing for us in a minute. I don't even know exactly how this song was written. It was written, I think, in two minds free associating without any censor operating due to the relationship, I think. It goes back to Brooklyn. But I think this song is probably the clearest example of what we do and the process that has worked for us. Alan's going to sing, and Bill Cantos. Where are you, Bill? There you are. A good friend, pianist and composer, will accompany Alan. Alan, don't look at Barbara when you sing, you'll get nervous. She knows the song.
Round like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning on an ever-spinning reel, like a snowball down a mountain or a carnival balloon, like a carousel that's turning, running rings around the moon, like a clock whose hands are sweeping past the minutes of its face, and the world is like an apple whirling silently in space, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind, like a tunnel that you follow to a tunnel of its own, down a hollow to a cavern where the sun has never shone, like a door that keeps revolving in a half-forgotten dream, or the ripples from a pebble someone tosses in a stream, like a clock whose hands are sweeping past the minutes of its face. The world is like an apple whirling silently in space, circles that you find, the windmills of your mind, keys that jingle in your pocket, words that jangle in your head. Why did summer go so quickly? Was it something that you said? Lovers walk along the shore, leave their footprints in the sand. Is the sound of distant drumming just the fingers of your hand? Pictures hanging in a hallway, and the fragment of a song, half-remembered names and faces, but to whom did they belong? When you knew that it was over, you were suddenly aware that the autumn leaves were turning to the color of her hair, like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning on an ever-spinning wheel. As the images unwind, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind.